Hi everyone, my name is Lori, my nickname is Reenie, and I'd like to welcome you to Reenie Bobini Creations. If this is the first time you've stopped by to visit my channel, I'd like to offer you a very warm welcome. I sure hope you like what you see, and if you do, please hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing and sharing with your fellow crafters. It really does help us out. For all my subscribers, I am so grateful for you. And if you are one of my subscribers that happens to be partial to the gnomes, you're going to love this one. So we are going to make this little baseball bunny gnome today. We did the little one with the bunny slippers, and I kind of felt like we needed a boy version, so I went with the baseball one, and you'll be surprised at just how easy it is to make this little guy. So let me stop yakking at you, and we'll get on with the crafting. So to get our little gnome buddy started, for this one I wanted to go with the gray, so I found these gray fuzzy socks. And if you've watched my gnome videos before, this is the easiest way I have found. Find a tin or a cup or something that your sock will fit over to fill it. No, I'm not going to fill this one as full because this is also going to become his ears in this case. So I find the cheapest brand of rice I can find. I paid very little for this. I honestly can't remember how much, but not much. And as long as you're not putting it anywhere where it can get wet, I find rice to be the best stuffing, I guess, for him. And so I'm just going to fill him up to where I think he's going to be about right. And you're going to want to push him in. There he is. We're just going to pounce him down a bit. And then just using a rubber band. Oh, there it is. I'm going to use the rubber band to tie him off at the end. All right, there we go. Now, because we are going to turn these into his bunny ears, we need to cut them in half. And they can be eyeballed. You don't need to measure or be too perfect with it. So I'm just kind of going to eyeball him and cut his ears right down the middle. So now we are going to shape his ears a little bit. So I'm going to sort of just manipulate them a bit and then I'm going to do the point like a bunny ear would have. So I'm just going to take it from the tip and just trim off the part that I don't need and just clean up the edges a bit. So now that he's more or less how we want his ears to be, I'm just going to keep doing this to get the extra fluff off. We're of course going to need his pink inner ears. So to do that, I'm going to just cut off the middle ear. Oh, that is double good. And I'm just kind of going to eyeball it, but and then we are going to just glue him right inside there. Just trim off some of my not so pretty edges. So again, just using the hot glue. Just going to tuck them in like that. And then once we've kind of got them all in there, I'm just going to put a spot of hot glue there, and it'll just kind of help give him his ears some shape. So I'm just going to tuck a little hot glue in and pinch it together. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Right, so you should be left with something that looks similar to this. Don't worry, we'll fuss with his ears later and make them stay where we want. You're going to need a tennis ball. These are just from the dollar store. They came 3 in a pack. I think they were $2.50. We're going to cut it in half, so you'll be able to see there's some sort of lines you can actually follow. Now do be careful, being round, that it does like to roll around, so you don't want to cut yourself. So just using your utility knife, you're just going to follow the center line and cut around. Now you may have to do a few passes. The hardest part to actually get through is the fuzz on the outside. But once you get it going, it's not too bad. And don't worry if your edges are not perfect. They will be hidden. All right, so then we're left with our little half a tennis ball here. Just going to trim off some of the fuzz. So next we need to cover his hat and not have it look like a tennis ball. So I've got this red felt, again, just from the dollar store. I made a circle that is about just shy of 4.5 inches. I'm actually going to go slightly outside to make it almost that 4 inches. So I'm just going to cut it out. I'm cutting out 2, not because I need 2, because I want another one for a pattern. Okay, so we're just going to cut that out. And like I said, I'm just slightly going to go. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to hide the edges. Okay, so now we're going to cut some slits in him, not all the way to the top. I'm going to say, I'll measure it here for you in a second. I don't want to go all the way to the top, so where's the end? Yeah, I might just do it to the 1.5 mark. And then we're going to do that the other way as well. Okay, so now we've got our hat that kind of looks like that. So we're going to get putting them on. And we're going to start just by putting, we're going to use hot glue. I'm just going to put a spot in the middle just to hold it down while I get him placed how I want him. Oh, yeah, that's fine. So then we're going to do opposite corners. And I'm going to place some glue along the edge here. to just hold them in place. Do the same on the other side. So now we need the brim of his hat. And for the brim, I just measured 2 3/4 inches along the bottom and 2 inches tall. This is just craft foam, something I had in my stash. If you don't have any, you can certainly just use cardboard. That would work just as well. I just had this and it's a little bit easier to be bendy, so I'm gonna go with that. And we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to cover the top and bottom. And the easiest way to do this, so you don't end up with foams, like white foam showing, is to fold it over like that and cut them out together with the white piece. Now we are going to hide the edge with some piping. But we don't want any of that edge showing. You're better to have a little bit too much red than not enough, because we can always trim it down. So I'm just going to trim around it to make it a little bit smoother. And now we're going to glue all this together. All right, so you should be left with something that looks like that. So now we're going to put the piping around the edges to clean them up. So we're just going to, I have this black. You can again use whatever color you want. If you don't have piping, string shoelaces, check in your stash, but this is, you can get this in all kinds of colors at any of the dollar stores, Walmarts, anything like that. So to start, we're just going to put the bead of glue. And then once they're all done, we'll just trim her off. So then we need to do something similar on our baseball hat. Oh, got glue everywhere. So where our 4 seams are the first place we're going to do them. I think it might be a little bit hard to see, but we're going. So I'm going to find the first one. And again, don't worry about the edges, we'll get them sorted. So now you should be left with something that looks similar to that. Oh, my ends came out, let's fix that up. So now we're going to attach the brim. And to do that, we're just going to run a bead of glue inside and tuck them in like that. So I'm going to run the bead of glue along the edge of the brim here. Decide which way I want to be my front. push them into place. Now to finish him off, I am going to use a little bit more cord. I'm going to go around. I may do 2 rows. Just going to see how we look, but I'm going to start at the back. Just going to start at the back. And if you have one of these finger thingies, I highly recommend them. I burn my fingers every time I do a craft, I'm sure. And it's been mightily reduced by me having these, so. So there's our little baseball cap. So we're just going to finish them off with a button on top. And I will take my heat gun to him to get off all the glue strings here and all that when I'm done. But there's basically our little cap. So let's find our button for him. So I've got this little button, but it's got the back on it and I don't want that on there. So I'm just going to take a pair of my cutters here and snip that right off. All right, and then just with a bead of hot glue, we'll put his button on. So there's our little cap. Now, if you don't have this or you don't have the right color, you can always take some of the felt and cover the button in whatever color you want. But I had the black, so I went with that. And like I said, I will take the heat gun and clean up some of those blue spots. So for our next step, we're going to give him a little jersey, a little baseball shirt. So going back to our red felt, we're just going to wrap it around to make it sure it's the right size. I'm not going to give measurements on this because just depending on how much rice and stuff, it can change a little bit. So we're just going to wrap it around and make sure, as I said, we have the right size. Now I'm going to fold under the one edge and glue it to give it kind of like a seam. So first I'm going to do that, and just with my hot glue gun. Or not a seam, I guess a hem is what I mean. And I'm just going to fold that over. And then I'm going to come back, and I want to kind of give it a rounded edge. So to do that, I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm just going to give it like a curve. And folding it in half should make them pretty much the same both ways. So that is kind of what I'm after there. Now I may pull them down just a little bit and trim them up. But before I do that, we're going to go back to our piping because we're going to give him some edge. Now I think I am going to trim mine down a bit, but I will do that after I get the piping on to know where I want it to sit. So I'm going to go all the way around. Now you don't need to do the raw side because it's going to be hidden. We'll trim them off. And then we'll put them back on. And I just want to see where my buttons are going to come to. Well, let's trim some of that that's a bit rough. And I've got these little buttons that we're going to put on, but I am going to run just another, I just wanted to see where they're going to come to. So now I'm going to take my piping again, and I'm just going to run it down both sides just to give it that sort of bit of a lapel. Okay, so put his little baseball shirt on. Now this is the part I'm going to have to play with a little bit just to see where everything's going to come to, because we want his nose and his hat to work out for us. Put his hat on. I think I need to pull him down just a bit more. And if we do his cheeks and his nose and his hat, I think that will work out just perfect. So I'm going to start by just gluing this on. I am going to put his hat on next. I'm going to twist his ears. I hope you can see that. So the pink is out. And then we will just And I will glue him a little bit better once I get his face on, but I just wanted to make sure I could manipulate it a bit if I needed to. So I'll put his big cheeks on. And his little nose. And for the final touches, we'll put our buttons on. So after I put the buttons on, I thought he's a bit longer, the red's a bit longer than I was anticipating. So I'm just going to give it a hem. Now if yours is up a little bit, you don't need to worry about this, but I kind of wanted him to be just, have some of the gray peek out, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and just hem it a bit. So I get that shorter edge that I was kind of after. So now what we're going to do is give him some little bunny feet, and we're going to make them look like this. So the white part is just that foam. You can buy them in sheets and stuff at the dollar store. So I just cut it out to whatever size. I just placed them up against it to see what size I wanted. Then I took some of our gray sock and I just glued them right in there. And I didn't use a pattern or anything for these feet. I just kind of went with what I thought, and then I just cut two in sort of a mirror image. And we'll just trim out around him a bit so some of that gray does show through. And then just with our same pink felt that I got from the dollar store, I just cut out, this is one of my toes. And sorry I didn't show this part all the way just because I figured I was trying to make sure it would work first. So I just cut out those little toes and I'm just gonna glue those right on as well. So there's his little feet. And then I did also cut out some teeth out of the foam board. That was hard to get out for some reason. And I'm just gonna tuck them right up and under. Like that. So and then his feet, I'm just going to put glue right on like that, but I think I'll turn them my way so I can make sure I get them how I want them here. So there's a little guy with his feet, but I did feel like he needed, being a baseball bunny, he did need one more little thing just to finish him off. And so we're going to make him a baseball glove and some arms. So for the arms, I just cut a piece of the red felt. I took some pipe cleaner and I'm going to roll it in. And the reason I'm going to do that is that allows me to bend the arms, and you'll see it is a bit too big, but we can adjust that after. We can cut that down. So I'm going to make the arm, but we're not going to cut that pipe cleaner off just yet, and you'll see why here in a minute. So I have my two little arms, and to make the mitt, I'm gonna go back to, I've got this brown felt, again, all Dollarama stuff, and we're gonna make two. And this is, where is my measuring tape? So this is just about 2 1/4, 2 1/8 inches, anywhere in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but right around there will give you just about the right size you need. So we're going to trace around it. I'm going to cut out 2. When you cut it off, we're going to cut a bit of an arch. Something like that. Then we're going to decide which side we want him. Is he left-handed or right-handed? And we're going to cut a notch. Just a little triangle out. So you're left with something like that. Now you're going to need your needle and thread. So I don't think that's going to be enough thread. In fact, I'm sure it's not. All right, now we have our needle and thread, and we're going to start just by sewing all around the outside. And I'm just going to start by going in between so that it hides my knot. And then nothing fancy, just that we're going to give it the edge. And I do want the contrasting thread. Again, that is perfectly up to you. You can use whatever color thread you like. I didn't want the stitching to really show, so I'm going with a white. Again, totally personal preference on that. All right, so now you should be left with something that looks like this. So we've gone all the way around, except for the bottom part here, where we want to wait. We will take care of that after, but we are going to put a little bit of stuffing in there now. Okay, so we've got this just a little bit, and we're going to put it in there. Now, if you don't have stuffing, you can use the scraps from the socks. You know, anything can really go in there to stuff it, and you don't need a lot. We just need a little bit. So now what we're going to do is again go back to our needle and thread. Tie our knot. And this time, again, I'm going to start on the inside, but I'm going to go in a little ways. I don't want to go right at the edge this time. So if you can see that. And then we're just going to do in and out. And this is going to define the fingers on our glove. So that's what it's going to look like, but with one more set of those. Again, I'm just going to start inside so I can hide my knot. and then just do that in and out for the next finger, and that's just going to kind of give it some definition. Okay, so that's our little baseball glove. I think it worked quite well. And we will glue up the bottom here in a minute, but first we're going to put his arms on so we know where we want them. So I think so this is the one I'm going to put it on, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit of that so the red hides that whole end. And I'm just going to sort of tuck them under the ears so that, you know, the arm isn't really showing, and we'll just tuck them under the ear a bit here. So just going to glue that right on. And then same with the other one, we'll just glue it, same kind of thing, just right where the ear is to kind of hide it. And then we're going to put our baseball glove on. So I'm just going to stick it up in there. Let me just get some of this fluff from stick it out. Stick the arm in and then stick the ends together as well so he's all closed up. All right, so now for the other hand and actually the tail, I'm going to grab a couple of those pom-poms. So we're just going to wrap it around and just sort of make it gray. So we're just no special way to do this. I'll cut off some of my excess here. And then we'll just sort of go all the way around and just cover him up. And then we'll trim off any more excess. Oops. And then we will just tack him on too. And then we're going to give him a baseball, and I'm just going to use a white pom-pom for his baseball, and we're going to put that right in his glove. Now for the very last step, I did put a pom-pom tail on him, but I really do want it gray at the end of the day. So I am going to do similar to what I did before and just sort of tuck it around so he has a gray tail. I wasn't that happy with it being white. Well, now he has his little gray tail. So the last thing I'm going to do just to hide those arms is I'm just going to tack those ears in place just with a tiny bit of hot glue just to keep them from the ends of the arms showing. They're where they would naturally hang anyway, but I just think that's a nice way to finish it off. So there is our little baseball gnome. We'll get some better pictures of him. I hope you enjoyed him. He was really fun to make, and I think he turned out really, really cute. Looking forward to doing some more of these guys.